This is Partners in Crime with Adam Croft and...
Not the other one. Hello and welcome to Partners in Crime episode 163. Yes, another solo one this week. I promise you, Mr. Dawes is still alive. He hasn't walked the plank just yet, but he is still away doing his cruise ship talk thingies. Although judging by the quality of his text messages that have been coming through and some of the weird autocorrect spelling errors in them, I can only assume they're plying him with lots of wine as well, which would explain quite a lot. But hello, welcome again to another episode of Partners in Crime, sponsored, of course, by Kobo. It'll probably be another shortish episode this week because you don't want to hear me waffling on too much, do you? Anyway, let's get straight into the news. I know quite a few of you have been watching the brand new ITV drama. I say brand new, I think it's finished now. The Thief, His Wife and the Canoe, which is a series about the real life scam carried out by John and Anne Darwin for £679,000. It was an insurance scam which took place, I think, about 15 years ago now. Anyway, the ITV drama explores, according to whattowatch.com, John Darwin's big scam and how it was carried out. It also shows how his wife Anne became complicit in her husband's bizarre deception to avoid bankruptcy as she played the grieving widow and tried to convince the world, their friends, the police and insurance companies that John had gone missing while canoeing off the northeast coast. Even their sons, Mark and Anthony, were none the wiser for 5 years, as their father secretly lived hidden in a bedsit next door to the home he shared with Anne. That should now be on the ITV player if you're in the UK, or if you're able to get that from abroad. That's very impressive, because I struggle to even manage it from here in the UK. BookRiot.com carried an article probably about just over a week ago now, about the most and least satisfying endings of all of Agatha Christie's mysteries. This is an article by Alice Nuttall. Very interesting. We will have a link to that in the show notes. But Alice says that the greatest ending for her is From the Hollow, which is interesting. I won't go into too many details about how that ends, but I was in a theatre production of that a few years back, and I didn't find the ending all that satisfying at all. Even though I played the Inspector and got to uncover it, I didn't think it was all that good. But she also lists The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is probably, again without going into detail and spoiling it for anybody who hasn't read it, probably the greatest twist ending of any crime novel I've ever read. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. Do go and read that if you haven't before. She also lists her worst endings of Agatha Christie's, according to her. She mentions Taken at the Flood and also Passenger to Frankfurt, which is interesting. I'm going to read you what she says here about it. She says, the story features mind-controlling drugs, Hitler escaping to Argentina and fathering a son, and secret meetings all over the world by an enormous cast of characters who want to rebuild fascism. The story ends with a wedding, with Hitler's alleged secret son providing the music as the church organist. Yes, really. Interesting to know what Agatha Christie had been drinking when she wrote that, but if anything, that actually makes me want to read it even more. Now, I should mention at this point that Partners in Crime is gratefully sponsored by Kobo, one of the world's largest ebook retailers. And as a listener to Partners in Crime, you can get 90% off of your first ebook purchase from Kobo using the promo code CRIME22 at the checkout. Maybe go and get Passenger to Frankfurt by Agatha Christie. You don't need an e-reader or any special device. You can read it on your phone or tablet if you wish. And if you've already used that promo code, then follow the link in the show notes and you'll get 40% off of selected titles for life if you use the promo code PARTNERS22. Now, the lovely people at Kobo have sent through some book recommendations for books that you might want to read. Now, one of them is, again, a few years old. It's The Suspicions of Mr. Witcher by Kate Summerscale. It's a historical true crime novel. It's described here as a genre-turning, award-winning, best-selling true story in Victorian England, the original whodunit. That's The Suspicions of Mr. Witcher by Kate Summerscale. And they also recommend The Chestnut Man by Søren Sveistrup. There we go. I'll try that again. Søren Sveistrup. Close enough. It's described as the chilling debut novel from the creator and writer of hit TV show The Killing. So do go and check those out and maybe use your Kobo promo codes to get either 40 or 90% off. Back to the news then, and there was an article on Collider.com a week or so ago. It's entitled The 8 Best Fictional Crime Series to Watch If You Love Peaky Blinders, because Peaky Blinders has, of course, now ended. A very popular, very treasured show. But they recommend that if you've got a hole in your heart left by the demise of Peaky Blinders, you might want to check out these 8 shows. They recommend The Sopranos, Boardwalk Empire, Gangs of London, Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad, which I can highly recommend, Narcos, which I can highly recommend, Animal Kingdom, and Power. So do go and check those out if you're missing Peaky Blinders. Now we've got a lot of festivals coming up, lots of awards coming up as well, and one of the sets of awards that will be given out is the CWA Daggers. The long lists for those have been revealed. I won't go through every single category. We will have a link in the show notes so you can go and look at them all, but I'll just do the Gold Dagger, the long list for that, which is pretty long in itself. Next of Kin by Kia Abdullah, The Christmas Murder Game by Alexandra Benedict, Rabbit Hole by Mark Billingham, City of Vengeance by D.V. Bishop, Before You Knew My Name by Jacqueline Bublitz, Sunset Swing by Ray Celestin, Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby, The Last Thing to Burn by Will Dean, The House Uptown by Melissa Ginsberg, The Unwilling by John Hart, A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins, Light Seekers by Femi Coyote, I Know What I Saw by Imran Mahmood, The Shadows of Men by Abi Mukherjee, The Killing Hills by Chris Offit, The Stoning by Peter Papathanasu. Oh, look at that, first time. The Trawler Man by William Shaw, Daughters of Night by Laura Shepherd Robinson, A Beginner's Guide to Murder by Rosalind Stopps, and Brazilian Psycho by Joe Thomas. We've got also Ian Fleming Steel Dagger, the John Creasy New Blood Dagger as well. We've got 2 books by Hobeck, friends of the show, on there. Adrian Hobart, one half of Hobeck. There's a historical dagger, crime fiction in translation dagger, short story dagger, a gold dagger for non-fiction, dagger in the library, publisher's dagger, debut dagger, all sorts of awards there. The long lists have been announced, and you can go and check those out through the show notes. But if you want books to read, and if you're not just looking for books that have been long listed, you can get a free book, actually, as a patron of Partners in Crime. Because patrons get early access to every episode. They get to watch it in full HD video when Mr. Dawes turns up. You get a bonus episode each week, Partners in Crime, Arsenic and Old Lace, when Mr. Dawes turns up, a shout out on the show in the week you joined, and access to exclusive content, including a free book of the month every single month. And this month, April, it's the Slim Hardy Mystery Series by Jack Benton. And this is books 1 to 3 in the series. You get all 3 books completely free. Those 3 are The Man by the Sea, The Clockmaker's Secret, and The Gamekeeper. There's 6 books in the series so far, so you've got half the series for free. How about that, patrons? It would normally cost $5.99 on ebook, but of course free as a patron, and you can join today if you're not already a member at patreon.com/Partners in Crime podcast, or follow the link in the show notes. And if you are already a member, the link to download that will be in your Patreon dashboard now. On to more of these long lists and festivals that have been announced, because the Borders Book Festival have revealed their full lineup. That's held in Melrose. It's returning to its traditional venue at the town's Harmony Garden for the first time in 3 years, up there on the Scottish borders. More than 100 events will take place across 4 days from the 16th to 19th of June. And Joanna Lumley, Julian Clary, Jack Dee and Val McDermid are among those included in what is being called a diverse programme. And that's pretty diverse. The book festival will also see a special event to announce the winner of the £25,000 Walter Scott Prize for Historical Fiction, and the shortlist of the 4 contenders for that was revealed earlier this month. They also say that live music, a food village and a range of activities are promised throughout the festival. So that does sound good. If you're free in the middle of June and fancy heading up to the Scottish borders for that, then I would highly recommend doing so. Now, over in Canada, the shortlist for the 2022 Crime Writers of Canada Awards has been announced. The annual awards are created by the Crime Writers of Canada, were formerly known as well as the Arthur Ellis Awards, and the prizes recognise works in mystery, crime and suspense fiction and non-fiction by Canadian authors across 10 categories. Now, they have shortlisted The Push by Ashley Audrain, Hunting the Stars by Cherie Dimaline. I'm reading a long list, the wrong list even, so ignore me on that. Let's scroll back. The winners will be announced in a virtual presentation in May 2022. The finalists for the $1,000 prize for Best Crime Novel, and $1,000 Canadian dollars is, I think, about £2.30. The list is Find You First by Linwood Barkley, Lost Immunity by Daniel Kaller, Under an Outlaw Moon by Dietrich Kaltis, Not a Happy Family by Shari Lapina, and The Hunted by Ros Ney. Now, those other books I read out earlier are also nominated for various things. The Push is Best First Crime Novel. That's one of the ones nominated for that, for example. So, yes, they're all on lists there. I'll link to all the lists in the show notes for you so you can see what's what. And, of course, you're completely not confused now in any way whatsoever, are you? Which is good, because I am. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen with Mr. Dawes next week. I will try to find out. I will text him in just a moment, so I should have a response in about 3 or 4 weeks for you. Until then, I'll see you next time.
Partners in Crime was presented by Adam Croft
Not the other one.
and produced by Adam Croft. The theme tune was by the Caesareans. The Partners in Crime logo and imagery were designed by Stuart Bache. Partners in Crime is sponsored by Kobo, your favourite local bookshop, perfected.